everyone, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm Chrisley Kennedy, and this is the show where we bring you the day's biggest movie news, and of course we give you insight into what it all means. Joining me, as always, is AMC Movie News Senior Editor, Mr. John Campea.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, coming to you live from the Stream.TV studios here in Hollywood, California. We are so glad you decided to make us part of your day.
We also have joining us AMC's very own Miri Jetikin.
Hello.
Hi, Miri.
Hi.
And we also have joining us the director of the upcoming film, The Death of Superman Lives. What happened, Mr. John Schnepp?
What's going on?
I got to interject here. From now on, I insist. From now on, you be introduced as Dr. Fun Fun.
And sitting over here is Captain Canada, ladies and gentlemen. It's an inside web only joke.
Oh, dear. All right, boys. Well, Disney chairman Alan Horn recently spoke at the Tribeca Film Festival and dropped 3 interesting pieces of information regarding Star Wars, Captain America 3, and Pirates of the Caribbean 5. First, he said that Star Wars Episode 7 budget would be around $175 to $200 million range. In regards to releasing Captain America 3 on the same day as Man of Steel 2, Horn said, quote, "We'll see. We're struggling with it." And with Pirates 5, although it was originally scheduled to hit theaters on July 10th, 2015, the project has not yet been greenlit because he says he still hasn't seen a script he's willing to approve. John, what do you make of Horn's comments?
Well, okay, so let's start where all things should start, with Star Wars. The $175 to $200 million, I think that's to be expected. I know some people were throwing out these wild numbers saying, oh, Disney's going to spend $250, $300 million on Star Wars. And there's really no need to go that high. I mean, J.J. Abrams shot Star Trek Into Darkness for $190. And that is a sci-fi film. There's an awful lot of visuals in that film. So I think doing a Star Wars film, especially knowing the new focus they have on practical effects and whatever, the $175, $200 million range is exactly where it should be, so that's a good thing. Talking about the Captain America 3 versus Batman versus Superman thing when he says, we're a little bit nervous. Look, I've been saying all along, the smart play is for one of these guys to move. It just makes sense. And it's great that Kevin Feige has stuck his foot in the ground and said, we are not moving. Kevin Feige does not outrank Alan Horn. I mean, if Alan Horn says we are moving, then they're moving. And I've been saying this all. I've said, look, it would be smart for Batman versus Superman to move because they cannot afford to go head to head. Whereas Disney can afford to take a hit. They can afford it at this point. But you don't want to take a hit if you don't need to. These two studio heads have to talk to each other and say, let's work something out. We cannot open these films on the same day. This is dumb. As far as Pirates of the Caribbean 5 goes, this is a much different song than we were hearing 6 months ago. 6 months ago is the script's approved, we've got it, they brought on the Kon-Tiki directors, we're all set to go, everything's great, 2015 summer, and now I don't even have a script in front of me that I'm willing to approve or greenlit.
Transcendence, perhaps?
Maybe. So there's a lot of drama going on at Disney right now. I have no doubt all 3 of these films are going to come. Star Wars obviously is a lock, but interesting stuff that Horn's dropping. Schnepp, how do you take it?
Yeah, I think the whole, I don't know about the script yet for Pirates. I think that's just hey, we're going to renegotiate our deals now. Things are a little different now. So that's that. Yeah, the Star Wars makes total sense, the budget. I mean, especially doing practical effects, giant practical sets where they're trying to not just have somebody act against a green screen, actually build the sets. That's really important. So that makes, that's what I want out of my Star Wars movies. I don't want like a bunch of weird 3D stuff with fake shadows and people's eye lines are off.
Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, I don't want a Jar Jar Binks. Maybe, who knows, maybe he'll be in there. All ancient. Misa's still around, on a walker, Bring them all back, Bossa. Ha ha ha, that guy. Get them all back in there. Come on, JJ. And what was the third one? Oh, Captain America. They should just move Cap a month early. Drop it in April. It'll just clean up the box office.
It will. Captain America's shown that it can.
Yeah.
Captain America 2, has shown that it can.
So there should be, it's like cool to do that chicken thing for a little bit, but you know what? It doesn't matter. I mean, we all are going to see both movies, so it does make sense for one of them to move. Yeah. And Cap right now has the ability to move without any kind of like, they'd be like, look, we'll give you the box office #1 for that. They basically, instead of us going head to head and all of us losing money, let's just move forward 4 weeks. They could open April 5th or whatever. That's cool.
Mary?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's cannibalizing each other if they don't. Like, somebody's got to move. I agree with you. I think Cap moving a month earlier would be great. insofar as budget is concerned, I don't see how that's even news. I feel like they're just dropping that. Horn's mentioning it because he knows everybody's chomping at the bit for some Star Wars news.
Anything.
And he's like, okay, here you go, budget. And everybody's like, yeah, but that's not really news. We know that the budget is in that realm. So thanks for that nugget.
Right.
And Pirates of the Caribbean 5, yeah, I agree with you. I think there's all kinds of stuff that goes on behind closed doors we don't know about. So they're looking at a script.
But I think
Whatever
they
that
have to
means.
know. They have to know though that Johnny Depp could put out 18 complete flops in a row. But you put Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow, people will still flock to the theaters to see him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so it's just one of the things. All right, what's next?
It looks like Universal Pictures is looking at the upcoming Jurassic World as a larger multi-film story. Director Colin Trevorrow recently said the following: "We definitely talked about sequels a lot. We wanted to create something that would be a little bit less arbitrary and episodic, and something that could potentially arc into a series that would feel like a complete story." Schnepp, is this the right approach to take with Jurassic World?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, dinosaurs are science fact. They're the creatures that actually existed. Godzilla is not a real thing. A Tyrannosaurus Rex is a real thing. And there's scientists constantly trying to we might have a Jurassic World in the next 20 years. We might actually be able to go see reborn dinosaurs from genetic codes. And we cloned this and added this, and now there's a giant rhinoceros, weird Tyrannosaurus Rex hybrid, you know? So them making this be an actual trilogy instead of a one-off and, oh, it was a success, now we'll do a second one. Hey, that was a success, do a third one. Build it as a trilogy, I think it makes sense. And it's gonna be a giant hit. Everyone, I mean, we all love Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
So it's sort of one of those things where it's like, oh, a new, fresh version of Jurassic Park, Jurassic World 1, 2, and 3. As long as the first one's great, you know, so hopefully they're really building that out.
That's always the catch, though, isn't it?
Right.
Oh, you just got to make it great.
Yeah, just make
it
awesome.
sound so easy.
Yeah.
Mary?
I do think that in order to make it great, I think you should build out a trilogy in advance for the simple reason that you can build out arcs and characters and map out the structure in a way that's going to be appealing and enjoyable. I think you're right. I think when you tack them on after the fact, it's sort of like 3D in post-production. It kind of never looks right. It doesn't look like it as sort of natural as native. But when you build out a sequel before you even start shooting the first film, I think you have a better chance of creating good story.
Yeah, and that's the key. I think what they need to do here is really similar to what you guys are saying. Plan for 3, make this film as a standalone. Make it as a standalone, but make it with in mind that we're going to have continuing stories go. Make sure this film, as a self-contained story, is satisfying to our audience, but we've already built our plans for the future to make one big cohesive story. Sounds like a great way to go. All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show called Buy or Sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Chris Lee's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Then Schnepp, Miri, and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Chris Lee, what do we got?
It's been confirmed that Lou Ferrigno, star of the original Incredible Hulk TV series, will be returning to voice the Hulk in the Avengers Age of Ultron. Ferrigno previously provided the voice for the Hulk in 2012's The Avengers, the 2008 release The Incredible Hulk, as well as Ang Lee's 2003 film Hulk. Miri, buy or sell Ferrigno returning to voice the Hulk?
I'm going to buy this. I don't see why I wouldn't buy this. I grew up on Ferrigno. This is the Hulk that I first came to know and know and love as a child, and I think he's the guy. I don't. I mean, fortunately, we don't have to see him be Bruce Banner because I don't think he would maybe pull that off quite as well as Mark Ruffalo. But as the Hulk, sure, it's paying a little fan service to people like me that grew up on him that really associate Ferrigno with Hulk, and I don't see why this wouldn't be.
Yeah, I'm going to buy this too, but not enthusiastically. This is a lot like the Peter Mayhew situation for me, right? Because Peter Mayhew, they announced, is coming back to be Chewbacca. Look, he did the voice of Hulk in Avengers, in the Avengers. He did not do the voice of Puny God. That was Ruffalo, as far as I know. But if you didn't tell me that it was Ferrigno doing the voice of the Hulk, I never would have known. So as a fan, it gives me warm fuzzies knowing that it's actually Ferrigno doing it.
Yeah.
But really would make no difference if it wasn't. Same thing with Peter Mayhew and Chewbacca. As a lifelong Star Wars fan, gives me warm fuzzies knowing it's him in the suit. But if it wasn't him in the suit, I never would have known the difference. So that's how I feel about this. So for me, it's a buy.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it. I mean, I grew up watching the Hulk with Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk. Like, Bill Bixby, white eyes, like weird, freaky hair, you know, like doll hair as the Hulk, and little pajama slippers when he'd be running. Like even as a kid, it's like, where'd the Hulk get those slippers? You know, as a kid, I remember I was like, he has green slippers. Anyway, I love that picture. He's like, if only I could be that big.
Yeah.
He's like touching the muscle.
The freaky thing is he is that big.
He's giant. In real life, if you've never seen Lou Ferrigno, you walk by, he's like always signing Hulk posters at all the Comic-Cons. The guy is massive, giant. That's his arm. That's just like my body. He's a giant monster. I think he did say puny god. I think he did all the lines.
I thought it sounded like Ruffalo's voice. I mean, I could be wrong.
But they probably had Ruffalo do it,
fixed it.
and then and then they had Ferrigno like say this like this, and just played back Ruffalo. He's like, puny god, just like I'm sure they mixed it somehow, but it's cool to see at least that lineage in there. And I think I like that Peter Mayhew's coming back as Chewbacca, and it's like it is body acting, John. I know we're gonna fight about this, but let the Wookiee win. He's like,
because no one else could do that, right? Because no one else could do that.
That was not a direction. You know how George Lucas is. Just do whatever you want. He lets the actors do what they want. He doesn't really inform their acting. So it's sort of, I think
All right.
No, it's a buy.
Let's move on.
Multiple Oscar-nominated actress Jessica Chastain has just signed on to play Norma Jean Baker, better known by her studio name, Marilyn Monroe, in the upcoming film Blonde, based on the 2000 book written by Joyce Carol Oates. John, buy or sell Jessica Chastain playing Marilyn Monroe. One
of the most iconic characters you could possibly play in film right now, being played by probably one of the top 5 best actresses in the business right now. Chastain is awesome. She's not just one of the most beautiful women in the world. She's a world-class talent. She's great for me. It's a buy. Mary?
Total buy. That's it. I don't need to say anymore. You said it.
Snip.
Bye.
It's just that
Lightning
easy.
round.
All right, what's next?
Wow. It is being reported that the iconic sci-fi character Flash Gordon is heading back to the big screen. Fox Pictures has secured the rights to the character and is reportedly going to be developing this for a feture film. Schnepp, buy or sell another Flash Gordon movie?
Here we go.
He'll save every one of us, every man, every woman, every child. It's Flash. Come on.
Sorry.
Yes, as long as it's not like the cheesy television series. Well, I can't wait to see it. It would be great if they took some of the actual Flash Gordon from the 80s and wove that in.
I submit to you, sir, that would not be great.
No, I'm serious. Like Alex Raymond's original Flash Gordon with some of the sci-fi and design elements. Who doesn't love the design elements from Flash Gordon?
Amazing.
I mean, it's a beautiful film.
As long as they get the same Ming the Merciless outfit, then I'm totally good. Mary?
Yeah, I mean, again, another nostalgia hit for me because I loved the 1980 film growing up, and that song. I mean, you cannot get excited.
Just a man
when you hear this
who can never fail.
This is why they need to do it again. And the thing is, Flash as source material has been done and done and done since the 30s, basically. So why not? I think it's great source material. It's fun. They can do a lot with it. Like you said, they can tie in different remakes from over the years. They can do whatever they want. They could make it like a Guardians of the Galaxy kind of vibe. It could be great. I'm in.
And whenever actors end up getting cast in this film, they can crawl to Seth MacFarlane's house and thank him for putting him in Ted. Because that's the only reason this is happening. No, for me, this is a buy. Look, sci-fi is great. It's a hot commodity. When you can get these properties and develop, you do it. And the fact of the matter is, it's a very recognizable name. It's been done a lot. There's some recognizability to it. This one's easy. It's a buy. All right, folks, now we've come to that part of the show for mailbag, but before we get to it, I wanted to let you guys know that you might have heard me talk about this before, seen on my social media. There's this great documentary coming out called Showrunners, and I submit to you, if you watch any television whatsoever, this is a documentary that you are going to want to check out. So before we get into any other stuff right now, I want you to check out this trailer for the new documentary, Showrunners.
When I started off at college, I was an economics major, and then I discovered playwriting. So I ended up being a joint theater and economics major, and people always thought that was the strangest major, and what are you going to do with that? It turns out, show running.
There is some value put on a singular voice. Showrunners were kind of invisible up until now, up until we branded ourselves.
I think attending Comic-Con is extremely important. Writers are out in the forefront now, just like actors and directors. And you really need to not only promote your show, you need to represent your show. This is a little bit like a rock concert for a showrunner.
The burnout rate for showrunners is 100%. 100% of the people who do this stop by their mid to late 50s, whether in success or failure.
Look at how nice he looks, too.
If you're doing it correctly, everyone that you've come into contact with, actors, the other writers, the other producers, the network, the studio if you know that things are going well on your show if everybody's just a little annoyed with you.
I try not to get caught up in ratings, but I do read other people's ratings.
Brandon, this is full of spoilers. I'm a little hesitant to speak.
Don't hesitate. Go ahead.
I've probably spoken out against the networks 2 or 3 times in my career, and yet now I find that I'm this hot-headed maverick, which is amazing because I'm afraid of 4-year-olds.
Anytime I've been standing on a set where we're at some crisis, and it's like, okay, we got to do this and this and this, and people are like this, and I'll say, but we're not curing cancer here, guys. This is a TV show.
Now, I'm really excited right now. This film Showrunners coming out. I got a couple of guys here, the director and one of the producers on the film. First of all, director Des Doyle. Des, thanks so much for being here. One of the producers on the film, Ryan McGuffey. And in case you may think Ryan looks a little bit familiar, way back when we were first starting doing video shows on AMC Movie News, we started with a weekly show called For Your Consideration. And Ryan hosted a number of those shows for us, and he's been a friend to AMC for a long time, and is one of the producers on this film. So, Des, let me start with you on this. How did this whole idea of a Showrunners film come about? How did this get started?
I'm just a complete TV obsessive fan geek. I've been watching American television my whole life. I come from Ireland, so when I was growing up,
you don't say.
Can you tell it in the accent a little bit? So some people say it's very mid-Atlantic, but when I was growing up over there, because they weren't able to produce a lot of their own TV, there was an awful lot of American imports. So I was raised on Knight Rider, The A-Team, Automan. I don't know if anybody remembers Automan.
I watched Automan. I used to love that show.
That's a great show. Please somebody do a reboot of Automan. And then when I kind of got into the business, part of the reason for that is as well watching shows like The X-Files during the 90s, where like television just totally shifted gears up, and I became really interested in the people who were actually making the shows and wanted to know more about them. Then when kind of social media and the internet really started to take an interest in them, I was reading everything I could about them, found them totally fascinating, but I couldn't find, I was looking and waiting for the doc to happen to kind of explain to everybody exactly what goes on with the job. And it wasn't happening, so I said, okay, I'll try and do it myself.
Surely there must be a documentary about these very important, very busy, very talented people, and there wasn't.
Now, we see that in this film, you guys have J.J. Abrams, you've got Joss Whedon, you've got like the showrunners from all these top shows. You actually interviewed Joss Whedon the day after Avengers opened. That's right. If I remember that correctly, at his house.
Yeah, yes, that's right.
Ryan, what was it like, and what was the challenge of getting like all the biggest power hitters in the world of television entertainment together to do a project like this?
Well, I tell you, Des had originally had a dream list of like 8 to 10 people that we wanted to kind of hit to profile for this feature-length documentary, and we hit
not like a hit list,
but
like
to get on board, but and happily, like thankfully, we got a fair number of them, most of them, I'd say, and but as they started coming on board, like the conversations quickly like transitioned to, they would come to us and say, you should talk to, who would have a really good story about their experience showrunning as so-and-so.
Yeah,
like, oh, do you know him? Like, and then they would pass us along, and the problem quickly became like, how are we going to get to these very important, very, very, talented,
it was
busy people?
Like reaching a kind of a critical mass point where there were enough people on board that people had started hearing about it. People saw the first trailer we put out. And then people started contacting us, and we ended up in a situation where we had too many people to kind of try and deal with.
Yeah, the problem quickly became like, how do we get to them? Oh my God, Des, how are we going to fit them all in? Like, they're coming to us now, and like all the assistants, we have to give a shout out to the assistants for these people, because like they're incredible. As we go out for, we'd run into them or see them get coffee or whatever, and they'd pass us along, and they were absolutely incredible. Like,
now,
wonderful.
As our own John Schnepp can attest to, putting a documentary together is an art and a science. It is really weird, and you're looking at end dates. When are people, general ballpark, when should people be able to expect that they might be able to actually watch this film?
Yeah, Des, when do I get to see this?
We 100% guarantee that everybody will see the film this year. We are hoping to try and do it as soon as we possibly can. We have a distribution partner here in the States that's kind of helping us work on the release. The film was only 100% completed around the end of February, beginning of March. but we are trying to accelerate the release plans as much as we possibly can. But at the same time, we really want it to be as wide a release as we possibly can do and get it out to as many people as we possibly can, because it's 4 years of our lives put into it, and we really want to kind of do the biggest release that we possibly can for us, you know, because we're very proud of the film, and we've been blown away by the reaction of the people that have seen it so far. And the WonderCon panel that we did this weekend, the reaction to the clips that we showed was fantastic. We even had Chris Carter and Steve Callahan from Family Guy. People come up to us afterwards, say, when can I see it? You know, which is fantastic. If they're interested, we've done something right, you know.
All right, well, I want to thank Des Doyle, Ryan McGuffey. Keep your eyes open online and watch my social media channels as well as for updates on Showrunners. This is one you're going to want to see. Now, it is time for us to get to your mailbag questions on the mailbag site. Listen, if you've got a topic or question you'd like us to address on the show, email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Chris Lee's got a couple questions pulled out right now. So, Chris Lee, what do we got?
Peter Turner writes, greetings all the way from the dirty South, Memphis, Tennessee. I found your show about 4 or 5 months ago, and now it's a big part of my daily routine. My question is for everyone, but mainly for John. I'm also a massive Star Wars fan. My youngest daughter is named Leia, and her twin sister's nickname is Wookiee. We know Star Wars Day is coming up. Are you going to dress as your favorite Star Wars character for May 4th's episode of Movie Talk? Me personally, I've already got my Sith robes and yellow contacts ready. Love the show and keep bringing the filthy, and may the Force be with you.
A man who named his daughter Leia. That's... You're an example to us all, my friend. An example to us all. First of all, I should point out, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that May the 4th this coming year actually falls falls on a Sunday, so there will be no AMC Movie Talk on that day. However, this is as good a time as any to let you guys know about a little something we've been working on. You know, Christian Harloff now works with us here at AMC. He's part of the team, and he came to me one day and said, hey, John, you know what we should do? I'm like, what's that? He goes, well, you're the biggest Star Wars freak I know. I'm a big Star Wars freak. We should do a Star Wars show. So we are, for a limited time, on May the 4th, we are going to be starting an AMC Star Wars show. I don't know what the title of it's going to be yet. We're working on it, and we're going to be joined by a really good friend of mine. His name is Paul Enns. He's the former director of Lucas Online. He was the guy who ran StarWars.com and ran all that stuff, and he was the guy who ran the biggest fan site probably in the history of the internet called theforce.net. So he's going to be joining us for that as well. Keep your eyes open for it. More details to come. All right, what's next in the mailbag?
Julian DuPont writes, X-Men is basically my religion. Like most people, Star Wars is their religion. I recently read a rumor online. By the end of X-Men Days of Future Past, Magneto will in fact turn into Apocalypse. Wow, sorry guys. Apocalypse won't be a standalone villain in the movies, but will rather an alternated. Wow, alternated Magneto for the upcoming 2016 movie, which would make me so upset.
Well, first of all, this is an inside joke with us. It's Magneto. This is an inside joke with us.
The dyslexia kicked in, guys. Sorry.
Here's the thing. I have also heard that rumor. I do not believe that it's true, that they're actually going to have Magneto turn into Apocalypse. But if they do, and you all know how much I love Age of Apocalypse, I'm okay with it. And the reason I'm okay with it goes back to that one thing I always harp on. Keep the core essential elements to who these guys are. The fact that Apocalypse was En Sabah Nur all the way back in the days of the Egyptians and things like that, you know what, really, when it comes down to the core of Apocalypse, that's actually not important. The En Sabah Nur part of Apocalypse ain't that important. What is important is he is a Darwinian monster, survival of the fittest and the culling of the weak. That is the key thing about who Apocalypse is. And if they did go, once again, I do not believe they're going to morph Magneto into Apocalypse, but if they did, as long as they nail that essence part about what Apocalypse is supposed to be and what he's supposed to be about, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. That doesn't mean I'd be thrilled with it. I would still rather them do the actual backstory of Apocalypse. But if they don't, but still keep true to the who and what he is, I can live with it. I'd be okay with it. Anyway, Schnepp, what do you think?
I don't want to live with that. I certainly hope that that is not the case. Right. I do agree with you because, I mean, Magneto's origin is he was an Apocalypse-style character. He was like, down with the human race, we're the superior. Right. So he had that going from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and then they introduced
And
Apocalypse.
in the movie universe, he starts as a victim of that mentality, right? So the irony of them turning into that.
It makes sense. They could do that kind of spin. Like they've done these spins since probably the 80s, where they started introducing like Batman and then the Joker, and you created me, I created you first. So they've done this kind of like hero-villain thing. You know, they're the mirror image of each other. It just makes it an easier narrative. Like with the new Spider-Man, they're wrapping all the villains into Oscorp because it just makes it an easier thing to, as a sell-through idea. It's like you still get all those characters, and you just might not get their individual original origins, but you get the characters. So I certainly hope that that's not the case, but am I going to be like, it all depends on how they do it.
Right. So. Mary, and I know when you and I first met, you were apocalypse this, apocalypse that. That's all you ever talk about. But now, how are you with the idea of moving forward with an alternated character from the original concept?
You know, I agree with you. I think I prefer, obviously, for them to stay true to the source material, whatever it is, in any situation in film. However, this is a film. It's different than a comic book. There are a lot of other things that have to come into play. Like you said, tying all the villains into Oscorp is one example. But I also feel like it really boils down to how they do it. If they do a good job of it, great. They do know that the pressure's on. If they do make a decision like this, they know that fans, like this lovely person that wrote to us, they know that they're going to upset people, that they're shaking the tree a little bit, so they have to do a really good job. If they do a really good job and it ends up making a lot of sense from a narrative standpoint, great, I'm on board. But if they screw it up, then I'm even more not on board than I would have been if they had just stayed true to the original and screwed it up, if that makes any sense.
And I think it's important to remember that. I think they understand that, you know what, if we do it right, a lot will be forgiven. I always go back to the sports analogies, right? Like a sports team can do a lot of unpopular things that are things that are very unpopular with their fans, but if they win, all is forgiven. You know, let's look at the Joker for a second. A lot of us forget, because Heath Ledger was such a brilliant Joker, that Joker looks nothing like most of the Jokers we know. And there have been several incarnations of Joker through cartoons, the comic pages, and previous movies, obviously. And Heath Ledger's Joker is very unique. He's very different from any Joker we've had before. And that could have backfired. But because it was awesome, people embraced it, and now that's the standard for the Joker, right? So I think you're completely nailed it when you say, look, yeah, they'll do this with Apocalypse, whatever, and maybe that in the beginning will be really unpopular with fans. But if they nail it and they do it great, all will be forgiven, and it'll be the new standard of excellence probably for the character. All right, folks, we don't have time today to take live questions from Twitter. I am so sorry for that. I promise you tomorrow we will leave extra time for Twitter questions. I will have one or two less topics, and we'll have extra time for Twitter questions tomorrow. So I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget, lots of great films playing in AMC theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information. If you want an audio-only version of this episode, look in the description of this video and you'll find links to our Stitcher and our iTunes so you can listen to our podcast. And don't forget, if you haven't done so already, take a second and click on that subscribe button. Become a subscriber to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. I first of all want to thank those sitting at the table with me, sitting to my immediate right, of course, AMC's own Miri Jedikin. Miri, where can people find you online?
Basically Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Miri the Jedi. That's me.
I love that Twitter handle, by the way. That's so cool. The one and the only Dr. Fun Fun, Mr. John Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you online?
Thank you, Captain Canada. I am also sitting next to Miss Canada.
Yes, thank you.
Surrounded by Canadians, folks. You can find me at Twitter, Instagram, at John Schnepp. Go to SchneppZone/Superman. Help donate. Help me get this documentary done. And watch Automan on YouTube. He's like a weird Tron dude driving around.
Automan. I love that show. And of course, our lovely host today, Magneto, Crystal Kennedy. Crystal, where can people find you online?
I don't know if you'll be able to find me anywhere because clearly Magneto is taking over my brain. But if you can, try to find me on Twitter or Instagram at Crystal.
And of course, the guys who joined us today from Showrunners, Des Doyle, Ryan McGuffey, you can find them on Twitter. What's the Twitter address, guys, for Showrunners?
Showrunners Film.
At Showrunners Film. That's where you can find information about that. And you can find me on the various social media channels, just at John Campea. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. My name's John Campea for AMC Movie News. And until next time, bye-bye.
Hey everyone, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC movie talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.